Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another day, another week of 30 NSG. On today's show, we're going to be talking about Diablo 2 beta weekend, Diablo 4 week 2 beta weekend. That's the way I wanted to say it. So I'm going to give you the good, the bad. I played the Necromancer, I got it up to 25. I played the druid, got it up to 25. So we've played all the classes. I'm going to give you my thoughts on what I think about the game. Who's it for? Is it for the casuals? Is it for the hardcore players? What is Blizzard trying to do with this game? Is it balanced? Are we just seeing a small sample, not just because it's level 25, but everything was kind of thrown off because of the way they put the gear inside the game? So all this, and we're also going to be talking or discussing that, and we're also going to look at other people's content and kind of break what their thoughts are as well. Kuda Papa, thank you very much for the 2 months, and thank you very much for the first comment. So what are my thoughts? We played on Friday. We jumped in with Lona right off the bat. He played the druid. I played the necromancer. Right off the bat, the necromancer I thought was pretty OP. I would say after going back and playing the sorcerer and going back and then playing the necromancer and going back and playing the barbarian and stuff again, I did notice that I think the sorcerer outdoes the necromancer just by a little bit. I feel like by playing it, it does more damage because boss fights and stuff like the butcher and stuff like that, if you don't have, and it's circumstances, but if you don't have your companions, your skeleton crew, or as we called them, the rolling bones, you could get yourself in a predicament where the sorceress or sorcerer, based on what gender you are, who you played, but they basically could dominate the entire time, go invulnerable. The necromancer was completely invulnerable. I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with the necromancer, but I've never played the necromancer before. I never played the necromancer back in the past Diablos. I've always been a barbarian type of character playstyle. So playing the necromancer, I thought just right off the bat, it's kind of OP, but at the same time, I'm trying to think, is it going to be OP when a game comes out? And it probably is going to be OP, but the difference is in this beta, we got drops that were 3 times more powerful. This is when an article I saw that 3 more times powerful than the gear that was supposed to drop when you play the actual game. It's also 3 times more of the drop rate happening. So what was happening here is that we were getting characters, building up characters and getting drops that were making the characters even feel a little bit more OP than they would have possibly be if you're playing this when the game comes out and you're at level 15 or at level 20 or at level 25. Sure, you can grind and gear up and put the affixes and stuff on those weapons and you're going to feel powerful. But that's another problem with this game that I feel like is a problem with this game. But we'll talk about that in just a second. Let me tell you about the druid. Now, the druid, I actually like the druid, but the druid is really, really weak when it comes to the overall like power. I mean, you're hitting things for like 12 and 15. I got a build. I could probably, bring it up real fast because I do have the game on. Let me bring it up here for a second. Okay. So as you can tell, I have my characters. I got the barbarian to 25. I've got the sorceress to 25. I got the rogue to 16. I got the necromancer to 25, and I got my druid to 25. Let's go on fifth horseman. Right. So basically, let me show you my druid real fast. We'll hop in. The problem with the barbarian fifth horseman is that his essence diminishes, right? And this is what I don't understand who this game is for. Is it for casuals? Is it for the hardcores? Because the way they do certain things in this game, it doesn't make sense to me. So let's go look at the abilities. What I have for my barbarian, now I'm going to show you a barbarian build that the dude is just wrecking. But he has also got he's been farming for gear and whatnot. We're gonna show you a really good druid build, not a barbarian build, a druid build. What I started with is I started with Storm Strike. Okay, Storm Strike. I got 2 of 5 just to get it up and going, and then I put the into Lightning Storm. Okay, Lightning Storm. I also put the Pulverizer on, and I also put Landslide on. Okay, now I am not doing massive damage and in any by any means, right? But that's basically the whole build. I also have the debilitating roar down here, and I put 3 points into it, 4 points, and then 5 points into it total. And then I have the wolves, and I put an additional 3 points in this with an extra point with the gear, and that's what I have. Everything else is just. Then I also picked the this ability here at the very end. All right. Now let me see if we can get close to. I just want to kind of show you what I do when I'm out in the open here. Now I'm doing lightning, but like I said, my lightning build is not doing like massive damage. You're not going to get anywhere close to the sorcerer or the necromancer by clearing stuff. But this is where the conversation comes in: who this game's for. If it's for casuals, if it's for hardcore. Okay, so let me show you. Got them done. Cool. Let me go out. Get a lot of people. If we can find a lot of people. Okay. So basically, what I do is I can do the landslide. I can do the roar. Okay. I can clear them out with the wolf with the ultimate ability. Okay. But these are ads, right? These are ads. For the everyday mob people, you can take them out pretty simple. When you go against elites and whatnot, that's the problem, right? I'm doing lightning build, and you can see the lightning is doing about 105 to 200. There's an event over here we'll do. We'll do this event real fast. So I'm building up my essence, right? And then I start doing the lightning build. Okay. It clears out pretty good. And it's fun, right? We did the world boss the other night, and we had a good time with it. And I'm having a lot of fun with the druid, having a lot of fun with the barbarian, having a lot of fun with these two characters. Now I'm having fun with all 5 characters. The problem that I see for me personally, right, is that I don't want easy mode going through the entire game. As far as I don't even have to look at the screen, and I can just destroy everything in about 3 seconds. So I feel like this is like a good counter, like balanced character class. Like you're gonna have fun with this. I could take a lot of damage, even with elites. I have not water. I have not. Basically, everything just gets scaled up, right? So I don't think I really need to do the veteran difficulty to feel it, right? I mean, obviously, it gets harder and it scales up. The bugs, invisibility, respawn, sticky inventory UI. Is there one guy left? Get him, boys. So that's the build I had with the barbarian. I had a lot of fun with him, but at the same time, it's a very low class. If I had to rank them between the 2 weekends, it would be sorcerer, necromancer, barbarian, rogue. It all depends on. I haven't played rogue enough. I only have him up for level 16. I would put barbarian, rogue, but druid right now is at the bottom of the barrel. Okay. Problem with the also with the barbarian, your essence diminishes over time. So if you're not using it, right? Pretty OP with the whirlwind. I have a build where you can just keep whirlwinding, and constantly keep going through. But with the druid and the barbarian, they're pretty low on the totem pole as of right now in the low game. But I feel like when the game comes out, and I feel like when we don't get the drops that we've been getting. We don't get the 3 times drop rate. We don't get the 3 more times powerful of the weapons that you're going to see. It's an older build. I do think they've kind of balanced it out. Again, I have no official word on this, but they said it's an older build. They did say that the barbarian, not all characters need to be powerful right off the bat. Now let's go into the who's this for type of thing, right? Hardcore gamers, and we're going to watch a couple of videos here from the hardcore gamers, from people that have been playing Diablo 1 and 2, and they're grinders, they're looters, they look for all of this stuff. But then we look at the casuals, and I've seen both sides. We're talking about the casuals that watch YouTube, watch Twitch, look at build videos. Those are casuals. They're not the hardcore. They're just a casual. I would consider myself a casual when it comes to a game like this. Okay. I like the grind. I like the loot. I like to fix that stuff, to get that stuff together. But at the same time, I'm not this crunching the numbers type of person where I pick a build that I feel like is fun, it's doing enough damage, and I'm not struggling through it. That's the way I'll play this type of game. And I think that my first playthrough is going to either be barbarian or druid. Okay, that's the way I'm going to play. The problem with a lot of the stuff is that the hardcore people are looking at this going, they're looking at the fastest route to get to the end game as fast as possible. And if they wanted to be a barbarian or druid, that's not the way. Because if you're putting 2 hours in, okay? I watched a guy level from 0 to 25 in about 2.5 hours. Okay? With the necromancer. With the sorcerer. Okay? With the barbarian and with the druid, it takes a lot longer to level up. They're just slower moving. They just don't do as much damage. The rogue can just like fly through dungeons and whatnot. Okay. Now, obviously, the more that's on your weapons, the more that's on that grind on the weapons gets the druid up higher. The more that's on your weapons and your gear, the more the barbarian does better damage. Okay. The problem is the hardcore gamers, the ones that have made Blizzard what it is, right? Making Diablo 1 popular and Diablo 2 popular and Diablo 3 popular, is those people look at this and go, this is really casualified. The weapons, the gear sets, very simplistic. They have this little mindset of going like, what's happening right now is going to happen down in the end game. And obviously, once the game comes out, the 4-day early access, if you're waiting to get the game, you'll have all your answers because these guys will be in end game within 4 to 8 hours. They'll be in end game and tell you if it's worth your time to get into the game or not. Okay. Now, if you're super casual, if you're just casual, if you're a person that doesn't watch the YouTube videos and you're not even listening to me as we speak right now, you're going to love this game. This game, no matter what class you pick, is a fun class to build. I had a blast with every single class in there, okay? Talking from a very casual person, where something that you might grind for, and I put a lot of hours in. I got 4 characters to 25. I got 1 character to 16, okay? If you're a person that has a 9-to-5 job, you have kids, and you just want to get on, the problems you won't notice until month 2 or 3, where the hardcore people find it in hours 7 to 10. Okay, they'll get to end game and go, oh yeah, this is not good. Don't use this build. But if you're a casual person, pick any build you want. Pick any of the part of the skill tree you want. Try as many things as possible. Okay. Now, the problem I see again with the casual, non casual type of stuff is that the respecting, okay, for the game, I feel like the respec is a stupid thing and they should get rid of it. I also don't like the leveling process. I feel like the and I understand why they're doing it. They scale everything in the world to be your level. As you're going up, if you don't get the right gear, they're kind of pushing you to gamble to get the. When I say gamble, there's a you earn this boons or whatever they're called to go to a vendor to get potentially drops of exotics or whatnot or legendaries. And then when you get the legendaries, you're trying to find what goes with your build. Okay. The problem with this is that the amount of time it will get someone to get to that point, we don't know the actual odds yet because the game's not out. In the beta, it was amplified, and so was the gears stats. They were amplified a little bit too. Things were dropping that you wouldn't see at the levels that we were at inside the beta. So the casual person, because they want you to continuously play and the respect the way it is, they said at a certain point the respect's going to be way too much for you to do. And I find this, if they're making this game for the masses, casual players, that is the dumbest move they could make as far as respecting, right? Because that sounds more of a stopping the hardcore people instead of just taking one barbarian to make it through. They would have to get to a certain point and then make another barbarian and go up a different build. And that's for the hardcore, not the casual type of gamers. Overall, again, if you're a casual player of this game, you've never played a Diablo before, this is your first entry into Diablo, pick a class, any class, pick a skill tree, any skill tree. You're not going to know if it's good or bad because you're not watching or listening to the hardcore Diablo creators out there, okay? You're just playing the game. I think it's gonna hit really well with them. But as far as the hardcore gamers, I think they might not come. Obviously they're gonna buy the game, play it, but I think they're gonna leave in the masses unless things drastically change, make it less casual-fied. I think they're gonna go play Last of Epoch. I think they're gonna go play Path of Exile. They'll go play Lost Ark. They'll go play these other games because Diablo is not gonna not do well by any means. Okay? It's going to be very successful regardless if the hardcores play it or not. I just feel that Diablo itself is trying to turn towards the more casual, but inside the way they're turning towards casuals, they're kind of pushing away the hardcore gamers in a way where they're not making it complicated for the people that want to be complicated. They're just kind of being very generalistic with their motives here. Let me read what you guys are saying in chat real fast here. Good morning, good morning. Lots of chat, love it. I pre-ordered it, and I think I'm going to get the refund for time being. Going to wait for the full game to release, see the content, not representative, or there is more that you can do with the character. Beta was okay. Well, it's good that you played. It's good, Daniel, that you played it, and then you made the choice. And that right there is a good consumer, right? You played it, bought it, and then you went, you know what? I'm going to get my money back. I'm going to wait. And that's, I think, a lot of people, if you're on the fence about something, at least try it and then make your choices afterwards. Sorcerer main, then Barb. I don't know after. Horseman's going in with the Sorcerer and the Barb. Water says, did you check out the YouTube link for the Wolf build? Yeah, I have. I saw the Wolf build. I've been watching a lot of videos after I got off line last night. This is a quick video for some damage for the Druid can do. I'm going to show you a Druid build that's insane. The Majestic, what's his name? Majestic Multi-Gaming. Zero Boss put his link in the chat. Lots of people are not going to like his type of video because it's very slow, methodical, but man, does he give you good information, and he is just in love. Like, you can just feel the positivity coming off of him. He's so excited when he gets something, which I love, which I absolutely love. Behemoth says it's for casual players. Yeah, it is for casual players. I think it for both, depending on which level you start on. I'm not sure, Water. I'm not sure. I think what's going to happen is the hardcore players are going to use the Sorcerer or they're going to use the Necromancer. They're going to get to endgame and they're going to be disappointed. I think they're going to get disappointed. Let's see here. Behemoth says veteran gets you better loot. Yeah, and it gets you up leveled faster. That's why I said you'll know about endgame in about 4 to 6 hours. Right? They got to 2.5 hours of leveling. Unless they slow down the leveling, remember, there's other levels above the 2 that we got. So the hardcore gamers that come into this game, they're going to go like Torment or whatever real fast, and they're going to go up levels pretty fast, and you're going to know about endgame pretty good. If you don't play veteran, you're doing yourself an L because you're going to be increasing your difficulty down the line. Better get used to it. Again, the boss. I guess that's just more longevity, though. I feel like if I play through the adventure for the story, I'm playing Diablo 4 for the story first, so I don't feel like bashing my head through the story. So I'm going to play on a smaller or lower difficulty level just to play through the story. Kudapapa says Sorcerer, Necro, Rogue, Barb, and Druid for power. It all depends on what do you mean by power. There's some builds out there, Kudapapa, where the Barbarian's doing massive damage, and so is the Druid. It's just, are people going to put in that time to get to that point, right? Where Necro and Sorcerer are doing it right off the bat. Water says, I'm more of a casual core. That's a good one. That's a good cash core. Because hardcore when I play, but because I'm in constraints, I put the real time. Well, that's how I am, Water. That's a good one. A cash core. I like that. Is there ability of Barbarian to pull the enemies in? I forget. Is it the Barbarian or is it the Druid that has the chains that pull in? I forget. I think it's the Druid that had the chains that got pulled in. What if I'm business casual? Let's see here. Morning, Super Dave. Morning, Quintar. Stage 3, what does that mean? Yeah. Stage 3 of 7. They can't still be on 3 of 7, Sarge. Akuda Papa says, D4 is good for both casual and hardcore. I think there will be a set of diversity when people think of hardcore, and casuals will simplify the damage significantly, which is great. Super Dave says, hope you're good. I'm good. Thank you very much. Let's see. Quintar says, respect is more for late game, or respect is more for late game. If you want to change your build or try something different, the online only is going to kill it for the hardcore only players. But that's the thing, though. The hardcore players are the people that keep the game going, right? Casuals, they'll play here, they'll play there, they'll play here. You know what I mean? The hardcore people are playing nonstop. Like, they're playing the game nonstop, and then when they're not playing the game, they're thinking about the game. Horseman says, would be interesting if you could clone your character, demonic birth or something, but then you're one tune to slumber. You start on your lower level with the higher experience gain. I mean, technically, every season you're going to start another character, right, within seasons. So people are going to be making different. But, I mean, during your actual, I don't know, your main character, your main tune, your not season save type of stuff, I think they're going to change it, personally. What's going on, Dante? I'm probably going to get Diablo 4. I had fun with the beta. Yeah, I enjoyed myself a lot. Across the board, I enjoyed it. Don't forget that some gear is locked behind difficulty settings as well. Oh, yeah, you couldn't even play the Druid or Barbarian. Barbarian levels up weapons, and then you have to go turn them in and you get more abilities with that. Druid has a whole slew of things that you can't do, right? So I think the Druid gets better, obviously, down the line, and I think a lot of people don't really see it. They're kind of like blindsided by Necro's doing all that. I mean, it is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. The Necro, I can clear dungeons so fast. One person dies. Like, your minions kill one thing, you explode it, and then it explodes the next thing and next thing. Meanwhile, the Barbarian has to hit every single person. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. My first Diablo. So what seasons? All right. So seasons basically. Did you play any other game like a No Man's Sky or anything like that where they do seasons, Horseman, where you make a brand new character every season? Okay, and then in that season, then you do seasonal content type of stuff. There's like rewards given to you within the season. Like right now, the seasons doesn't start right off the bat, so you'll play the game, and then you'll play through the story campaign or whatnot, and then there's seasons. You can take that seasonal character and bring them in, and then every season you can make a brand new barb if you want, or a brand new sorcerer if you want. But there's like a main campaign that you have your seasonal guys, and then there's your main save type of thing, right? That's what me and you are like exactly the same. I'm like, you know what? I might play druid or barbarian because there's not going to be that many of them. Sorcerer has been good since D2. Necro has been added in D2, and then main DPS in D3. Sorcerer's overpowered, and then they get at the end game is the easiest class to get to trillion DPS. Sure, but okay. So if we all have, there's 5 cars on the starting line, okay, and there's a finish line. It's a mile down the road, and each of the rows is the characters is a car, and the Necro and the Sorcerer are hitting from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds, okay, and then the Rogue's hitting it like 2.3 seconds. The Barb's hitting it like 4 seconds, and the Druid's hitting it in like 6 seconds. They're all going to get to the end of the road. They're all going to get to that mile at the end of the track, okay? But the person that's hitting 60 miles an hour first, okay, is having a lot more fun than the person sitting in the back watching everybody else pull ahead of them to hit 60 miles an hour first. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's the problem. And I don't think a lot of people are going to put the time into a barbarian or druid because it takes so long. And again, this is the beta, right? This is the beta. And I feel like we don't really know what the scaling is going to be with that. This is an older build. We don't know what the actual things are. I don't think it's the biggest deal as people are making it out to be. I had a blast playing the druid. Out of all the characters I had, out of all the 5 characters I had the most fun playing the druid. Okay? Now, video games is fun by many different people, by many different definitions of people. If you're having fun by going as fast as possible through and destroying everything within a second, cool. If you're having a thing where you have to hit each individual person and you're having fun, cool.
Thanks for becoming a member.
Okay? That's the deal here, right? So, overall, I think this game right now, there was glitches and stuff. I didn't play with anybody this weekend because I noticed last weekend every time we played with someone, we played with Lono on Friday, and then we got disconnected. So since then, I played solo pretty much the whole time. We joined up with people for the world boss, which was fun. We beat it. Love the druid at that point. Let me see what else we have here. Yeah, so overall there was like glitches and bugs, disconnects, couple of rubber banding issues and whatnot, but the queues actually weren't bad at all this weekend, for at least for me. I mean, I think the longest I waited was 16 minutes, and that was on Friday night, and then we got on, and then we got kicked right away, and then we had to wait another 16 minutes or something like that. But other than that, it was pretty solid. Water says, same for me because I tested out the multiple builds and utilities of the Shaman, Caster Druid is pretty top notch. The Vines with the poison, buff utilizing the Earth's build is insane. Yeah, it's good stuff. Here, I want to show you. We're gonna watch Majestic gaming here. Okay, he might be a little hard to understand. Okay, but watch the build that he has. This is the guy I'm going to be watching for Diablo videos because he's the professor of Diablo. Professor Diablo is what I'm going to call him. Okay, the professor, because he is very. Some of you might tune out with this. Quintar, thank you very much for the gifted membership to Fifth Horseman. Appreciate that. Okay, he's very, very like he loves his numbers, man. Loves crunching the numbers. Loves telling you all the stuff, and he tells you what he's doing. It's fantastic. My Friday experience was wait 30 minutes, play 20 minutes, get kicked, wait an hour, play 20 minutes, get kicked, rinse and repeat. Really? All right, so here we go.
Welcome everyone, super excited to bring this super powerful druid build to you guys. And I'm having so much fun with it, so before I say anything, let's have a look at the replays. So what I do is I'll go through the whole replay with you guys at the end. And this is a boss, right? Look at the boss's HP, guys. This is the power of the druid. And we deal so much damage, and this boss dies under 5 seconds.
Okay, now mind you, he's a level 25, and wait till you see his gear. His gear is max to the 10th level. Okay.
And guess what? We deal so much damage to everything. And this is such a good build. You don't have to do much. Your main character is more like a Pokemon trainer. And I'll show you guys over here.
Yeah, Brain. He does morning Brain. He does a lot of Lost Ark videos. He's very good at these type of games, man.
You're great with AoEs, you're great with stunning, you're great.
Okay. You see what he just did there? He mobilized everybody.
With tank ability, you kill everything very fast. Notice
he's doing exactly what he just did there is what the sorcerer was doing, what the necromancer has been doing.
This elite there. If I press my button, he'll die instantly, but I didn't even press it. So it's so powerful, this build, that you don't really have to do anything. Your wolves will do everything for you. And here I'll show you guys again. If I want to sync out one elite, I can one shot. I can send a kill command, my wolves will kill it in one shot. And again, if you guys down, you have unstoppable. So if I send an attack on this elite, one shot, the elite's gone, right? So this is so powerful.
He just completely deleted him off the map. Notice at the bottom, you may experience the game differently from me. Yeah, no, exactly. He is farming. He tells you how to farm the gear. He tells you how to do all the stuff. There's some people that are just on the next level.
And I really want to share this build with you guys because I think the druid has a very good potential after discovering this combo. Now coming over.
Okay, I want you to look at what he's got here. let me make this full screen for you guys so you can see. Hold on one second. Let me shut off my Xbox. Okay, so you can see what he's got.
To our gameplay, what I'll do is at the end of the video, guys, I'll
the links in the description, Water.
And you got to see how smooth and how beautiful and lovely the druid is. And just to show you guys my stats, notice I have 855 attack, and this is done because we have a certain codex. So same as before, what I do is
all the videos that we're watching today, links are already in the description down below.
Because this build is very relied on the codex and also aspects of your build, I'll show you guys what is available, and then we'll go through the skill trees because of that. Now the first item of choice is going to be this two-handed weapon that is enchanted with one additional companion. So this actually means all of our companion skill would deal 200% more damage. Unfortunately, I only rolled this one to the lowest 200. If I got 300, this would be really broken. I'm
gonna skip the jargon. I want to show you the
damage increase on
the
the
actual
chest.
some of the build stuff.
And I managed to get it to 11.7% over here. And as for the gloves, we have increased critical chance. So a lot of the good things will be transferred onto your minions. Here we have +1 to all companion skills on the amulet. Very, very nice. And here we have some close range damage and also some distant range damage. Simply because sometimes the wolves kills people from afar, sometimes you stand next to them. Just to show you guys my stats over here, 855 attack power, and here you can see my critical chance before the activation of my particular offensive spell for 21% more. Before this is 18.2%. We also have more critical rates as you.
Yeah, a lot of people, and I know this for the fact that I like numbers, but he's above me as far as when it comes to numbers. I have to watch these a couple times to understand what he's saying, right? This is my second time watching it. But I appreciate people like this because without people like this, the rest of us would just be kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing,
You see in the passives. So everything else is pretty straightforward. We're very durable, especially with the shield, and we also have unstoppable. This build is very good. So coming over to a skill tree, you can see I'll be going with 1 point into Storm Strike and another point for the chance of immobilizing enemies. Whenever we immobilize or disable enemies, we get so many benefits, which I'll show you guys. This also brings us into melee range.
Exactly,
because my focus is being in the melee range, which gains another 9% critical chance. Here I will be only going 1 point into the core spell Tornado, which allows me to produce more tornadoes and also slow enemies. When enemies are slowed, we deal more damage. And notice I'm kind of like a support, I disable, I slow, and the good part is I'm very durable. So 1 point.
Oh, he's ecstatic. There's another video that he gets an exotic, and it was the one that he wanted. He was like starting to dance and stuff. Like the pure, I'm jealous. I'm jealous because I don't have this joy anymore. I've been sucked dry of my joy. My son brings me joy, but video games, I don't get happy like this. Well, that's not true. I did have a smile on my face when we used to play Marvel's Avengers with the Hulk, and I used to smash things.
Point into Earthen Bulwark and also make it unstoppable and provide us with Fortify. Again, I'm just trying to survive because wolves will do everything. So coming over to the highlight, I had a +7, I'm so sad, I could have had more damage. So this is a +6 wolf, simply because you have 1+ skill to all companions on Amulet. It is very easy to find and it's very powerful. So here with the wolf damage, notice those
Avengers took a lot of people's joy away.
Those damage will be amplified dramatically by the codex and also aspects we have. So by 200% on this weapon, and also by another 150% on this amulet. So it is very powerful. Now the wolves will be upgraded into that the wolves will deal additional 20% damage when enemies are immobilized, stunned or slowed, which will do everything. And over here the wolf will get another 20% attack speed when you critical hit. Remember we critical hit a lot with the passives and also the skill perks and also aspects. So very, very nice. We'll be going with 1 point into
Okay, I'm gonna fast forward to this part here for a second.
I like this dungeon because I don't get lost that easily.
I think he shows how much money he gets from this as well.
So right away you can see we're very durable, and all we have to do is let the wolf do damage, but most of the time I'm looking for elites. And my sending wolf, so actually I'll quickly tell you guys my combination of spells. So my unstoppable and also tanky spells will be the bulwark. And as for the veins and also for the ravens, one of them will disable enemies and also provide us with more damage, and the ravens will provide vulnerability. If I send the wolf kill command, they can almost kill anything with one shot. For the boss,
his wolves can kill almost anything with one shot.
it probably takes 2 shots. And as for our basic and also core skills, it's just here to buff the wolves. Now as you can see over here, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find an elite, and now I find an elite, I'm actually going for the 2 elites that solve the quest. So takes a little delay, but I'll show you guys the whole thing. So here's an elite, and this is actually the first time I'm testing it. So I'm going to send out my wolves, I'm send out my disables. I was like, go boys, 1 shot. I was like, wow. Did you see that?
I'm going to rewind that just in case you missed it.
I sent out my disables. I was like, go boys, 1 shot. I was like, wow. Did you see that? He jumped. So 3 wolves, right? Only 1 jumped. The other 2 were kind of engaged on something else. 1 jumping wolf killed the elite in 1 shot. And there's more. It's so good. So over here, as we keep going, we're going to kill both of the elites to open up the gate. And then we'll go, go for the boss. I like this one.
See, for me, the barbarian and the druid, and again, this is not taking a shot at anybody that's doing sorcerer or necromancer. I feel like necromancer and sorcerer is just like, you play on the hardest difficulty you want. I feel like that's the easy mode. I do. I feel like it's easy mode. Like, it's like putting them out there and they're farming stuff. There's literally an AFK necromancer build already, where they can go away and just farm things for you. Okay, which is crazy. Okay, I feel like barbarian and druid, you got to put the work in, and I feel like at the end, near end game, people are gonna come out and see that there's barbarians and be like, damn, that barbarian. But they don't want to put the time in. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's an investment to get where if something can already do the damage that his druid's doing at level 10 or 12, and he's at level 25, and it took him time to catch up. That's hours of time investment on top of where the other one's already doing it. You know? What's going on, DJ? Gold farming characters for later? Yeah, he'll show you. There's another video. I thought it was this one. There's another video. You should see how much money this guy makes.
And just because I know it's up and done. So I realized how powerful I am. And the next thing is I kind of want to see how powerful I am, kind of like, without my wolves. So what you see is I'll try to not use wolves that much, but I'll still activate it. But what happens when it's on cooldown? It's also very powerful. And again, notice here, we want to see how strong we are, so I kind of left the elite over there, and I was like, oh, where's the monster? So here I'm trying to not activate my wolves if I can, and I'm just running through. And notice that the wolves are kind of lagging behind. This is why you want to use the kill command. I know at this point I'm still getting used to the build, but very soon you see, it's actually really lovely. So here we finally found the elite, and let's see. So I usually do my combo, and I send out my wolves, one shot. Now the second elite comes back, you know the second elite that comes, so here my wolves will be fighting second elite without active spells, and they also hit super fast. So this is without any active spells. It's all passive, normal attack, and the enemy just dies. Now, as we keep going, what we're going to see is I'll be trying to focus down elites, and also I'll be testing out different combinations. And because this is one of my first rounds in the dungeon, I was like, okay, how do I do this? You know, how strong I am. I'm still testing things out. But, you know, after this round, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so good. I need to make this video, right? So at the moment, we're looking for elites, and I realized how much potential I have, you know, when single down elites. And here, this is a good test. We're seeing how much damage we can deal against monsters without my active command to kill enemies. So this is without sending out my wolf to do one-shot enemies. They two-shot them with normal attack. And very good AoE damage. Look at that.
He's not doing, if you look at the damage numbers, there's like 135 or whatnot, right?
One-shot enemies.
98,
They two-shot them with normal attack.
Right? There's 264.
And very good AoE damage. Look at that. So remember...
But he's destroying everything fast, you know?
The Necromancer that kills everything? This one's almost good as that. Of course, it's not as broken, so it probably won't get nerfed as well, so it's really good.
And that's a key point. And I know some of you will say, well, they won't nerf it because Necro and Sorcerer have always been OP, but listen to what he says.
This one's almost good as that. Of course, it's not as broken.
It's almost as good as Necro, but it's not as good, but it also probably won't get nerfed, right?
And so it probably won't get nerfed as well, so it's really good. And again, if you get disabled, if you get crowd control, you have an instant, you know, escape spell. And here, kill command, one shot the elite, right? Did you see that? Disappeared. I didn't even see it. Yeah, I'm loving this build. It's actually my favorite build on the druid. And I was having so much trouble making the druid work, and I didn't know I had this build all alone. Should I try this one first? Because I thought it's a meme build, so I decided to try it, you know, at the end of the beta.
All right, real quick, I want to show you his last video. Yet another video. Let's see, that's that. Druid.
Let me
Up here.
build, but I'll show you guys two parts of it. This is why the build could be a little OP, because I'll show you very soon. I'm saving a little bit. One of it I want to show you is how much you slam for gold.
Yeah, watch the amount of gold he slams for in this. Okay.
So here we just found the Great Shire, and look at the gold.
Look at the amount of gold he slams for
On the floor. The one slam does so much gold simply because it shakes, and one enemy will echo multiple times. You farm so much gold if you find a pack of enemies. Here I'm only
like look at this.
Look at the gold. Pretty OP, right? This is like a gold farming build. So another Shire, I want to show you guys again. Bunch of enemies, we slam, and look at the gold go. I'm actually trying to collect them. So I don't want
Do you see all the gold?
to kill them with one shot.
He's got like about 1,000 gold there.
And if you don't kill them in one shot, you actually get a lot more gold. So there's a lot more gold to be slammed. So this is one of the reasons I said this build can be a little broken. Now the second part about this build being broken is that this build actually led me to discover the best way of getting more legendaries in beta. And we
So go check out Majestic's gameplay or channel. I have it in the link down below. Okay. We're also going to look at Zazirian. Is that how you say it? We're going to see what he has to say about this as well.
Hi, Zazirian here with another video. And I just tried the druid, and I'll make...
Doesn't he sound defeated already? Now, look at the difference. Now, this is what I'm talking about, right? There's going to be these people that are just so depressed about stuff. Okay? And then there's people like Majestic who are like, I love everything. This game is amazing, right? And you could say it's copium or not, but he's loving that game because of the stats and the different gears and how he can do the builds. Like, he's in love with builds, right? He's not saying it's He's not saying it's a bad game. He's just going, yeah, I'm playing the game and I'm going to see what kind of builds I can make with what they gave us, right?
Make a video about everything about the druid, but the druid started pointing out some problems in Diablo 4 that wasn't as apparent with a lot of the other classes, and especially with the new information, legendaries are increased drop rate for the beta. So that means that you will not be decked out in full legendaries by 25, and that,
which is fine. I have a question, chat. Do you want to be decked out in legendaries? Now, obviously, the gamer of you wants legendaries. That's the going rate, right? Like, you want legendaries. But I don't want to be maxed out in legendaries, right? And this is the thing. This is why I don't want to use like a sorcerer or a necro. I feel like they're so OP, they're so powerful, okay, that it's like easy mode. And if you give people easy mode, they're not going to go play the other characters because they'll be like, why? Right? They want to play a game, but they don't want to have any, and I'm not saying him in particular, I'm just saying people in general. People want to play a game, but they don't want any effort into it. They just want the best right off the bat. They want that player to be 99% like in Madden. You know what I mean? Like, you want that 99.9% player.
pretty much changes everything, because that means that it's going to make a lot bigger difference when you actually get them. But with that in mind, I was playing, and first off, resource generation on Druid and Barb is really bad. It's also extremely weird on Druid how you can hit like debris, barrels, and stuff like that, and suddenly you're gaining resources.
That's true.
But you're not gaining resources by regenerating. But hitting a barrel is okay. Or a deer. You're a druid, and you can kill a deer to get some more resources.
Not true.
Very druid-like. Obviously, the last one is more of a joke, but resource generation felt really weird. And I've gone into Diablo 4, and with everything they're saying, they are aiming for a more casual audience. They've said that the skill tree is very on purpose to be more simple, because they wanted to be an easy game.
Exactly, Horseman. Right? Like, you want to find the legendaries and then pull those off and then put them on your other pieces of gear and whatnot, you know?
To get into. But here's where I start having a problem. That's all well and good, but there's several things in the game that is not catered to more casual players.
He's saying the same stuff, right? There's stuff that's casual and then not casual. Like, where are they going?
There's a few things that are really big issues. The first off, the resource generation and cooldown. Either is fine, but they do such a big combination of both, and it really...
That's the big difference between... And again, you guys might have a lot more information than me. I'm just talking about the beta in Diablo 4. The Sorcerer and the Necro, their energy comes back automatically, right? It replenishes automatically. You don't do anything. You get your essence back. You get your energy filled back up. The Barbarian and Druid, doing nothing, get nothing. So you have to start smashing stuff so you can get your essence back up, right? That is why the Necro and Sorcerer do so much damage all the time, because it rapidly goes up. Okay.
really sets apart skills that don't have either. For example, Corpse Explosion I think is done really well. It has no cooldown, no resource cost, and the only limitation, which ends up being the resource cost, is corpses being there, which you have a lot of different ways to generate. So Corpse Explosion ends up being really good and sets itself apart so much. Now you have a lot of other skills that some have insane cooldowns, some have cooldowns and resource costs. There's this like insane amount of either something has a crazy long cooldown, or it's so extremely cost that you can only cast it 2 or 3 times. We do see that we have things on items like resource cost reduction, etc. It does feel a little bit extreme early. Obviously, I can't speak about the endgame. This is only level 25. The reason I want to make this video is that I hope by giving feedback, and if a lot of people talk about it, that they'll be like, okay, this is definitely something that isn't in the endgame. We don't have to worry about it from Blizzard's point of view. Like, this doesn't become...
Yeah, I didn't like that either. I was like, oh, I get to do that. Oh, it's over there. I can't get there.
Some problem later, and then that's all fine, right? Then all my complaints are irrelevant. Or that they're like, man, that is a really good point. If people are feeling like this at level 25 and they know that it doesn't get better in the in-game, then they maybe should think about doing something.
I don't know if it's not going to get better in the end game. You see what I'm saying? To me, like my analogy before is the race cars on the racetrack getting to the mile-long thing. The Necro and the Sorcerer get to 60 faster, and then the Rogue, and then the Barbarian, and the Druid. But when they're all, once you're at the mile mark, which is the end game type of thing, they're all going to be pretty much similar. Then it all comes down to the gear that you get and the things that you're putting onto your gear. Do you know what I mean?
Because the main important thing is that people have fun and that the game is accessible and easy for the majority of people. And the fact that Barb not only doesn't regenerate its resource, but it degenerates it.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you get the good build for the Barb, you could do your Whirlwind build, and now I've only seen it with the Whirlwind build, right? You could do the Whirlwind build and constantly keep your energy level up high. Like it regenerates when you hit. You can literally go through the whole dungeon if you had a good build. Okay. Now, obviously, I don't want that right off the bat. That's something to strive for. That's something to try to get. But you could get a build and then go through the entire dungeon and go, yeah, look at that build I got.
But if you've been out of combat a few seconds, you start losing your rage. That feels really bad. So Barb and Druid just has awful resource generation.
Yeah, that's the problem. I think a lot of these hardcore guys are looking at it going, well, this is so much higher than this, and they're not looking at the long term of leveling it off. Like, for instance, in the thing, the closing the gap, maybe the cards, again, in my analogy here, maybe the Sorcerer and Necro get to 60 faster, but all of a sudden the Barb and Druid are pulling up faster, and by the time it gets to 100, they could be really close, and we're talking like milliseconds of a difference at that time.
Another thing, this is just straight up anti-casual. The respec cost. So the
respec cost I don't like. That's my only major concern with this game.
Respec cost goes up the more you do it, but it goes up permanently. Apparently this is intentional, where they have said that at some point they want people to make a new character instead of a respecing permanent.
I want to know why they want you to make a new character instead of... Now, the mental ability in my head right now thinks that the reason they want you to make a new character instead of respecting is they want to spend you more time in their game. But why? If they're not going to have a microtransaction store, right? If they're not going to have anything like that except for cosmetics, why do they want you to take another 10 to 15 to 20 hours to level up another character? Do the same content again? Why can't I just respect my character at a high-end rate? I don't know.
That is okay and all well and good as a philosophy, but I don't think it...
Paul, you're saying that from the past experience of other Diablos. That Ferguson, the director of the game, said that it's going to be so much money that you're not going to be able to afford it, is what he said. There's going to be a point where it's so much money that it's just easier to make a new character. And that, to me, when he said that, I was like, that's awful. That's awful.
It goes very well over with a more casual audience, where generally, especially more casual players...
So then what they want you to do, Quintar, is basically buy the season pass every time, right?
aren't even on Twitch. They aren't on YouTube. They aren't checking build guides, and they want to experiment and play around with different things. At least like on a basic level. Like I'm not talking about making advanced builds here. I'm just saying, what is that ability like? What is that ability like? And this really prevents that when eventually your gold cost will become so big that you have to make a new character and never goes down. Somebody said that it'll go down between seasons, but obviously that is...
I like the respec cost on the fly out of convenience, but I would rather have one place to do the full reset. You do have a full reset. Do each individual one, or you can hold X and then reset the whole thing. Early game, you can mess about with the builds. Sure. But again, why make it so expensive? It's easier to make a new character. There's no defense for that, Paul. You know what I mean? I should be able to respec. Like if let's say it hits a peak, and the peak is like 10,000, 100,000, or whatever it is. He's saying it incrementally goes up, and it's going to be at so much money, okay, that it's not worth spending the money to respect.
is only a thing for the people that are playing non-laddered. If you are respeccing a lot in a season on an active character, you will at some point just, okay, well now it's 1.2 million gold to respec one node. It's time to make a new character. So I definitely prefer Last Epoch's respec system there being incredibly new player friendly, and you can respec at any time with no cost. And
New character would be for different build. It makes sense. No, it doesn't make sense, because why would you want your player base? Let's say it took me 25 hours. I have 5 characters, are going to be 6 characters, right? But I want to play Barbarian. Now, I level up my Barbarian the one way. I try a couple different things. I make my other build. Now I'm in endgame. Now I'm like Paragon 250, 400, whatever. You're like, yo, you know what? I really want to switch my thing. Oh, you know what? It'll be easier if I put another 30 hours into a different character. That's retarded.
you just have to very quickly level back the skill up.
Just to get back to, just so I have 2 barbarians, and now one has a different build.
And that goes very fast. It just seems a little bit at odds with making a more simple casual game. A lot of the characters early aren't, especially with legendaries being increased drop rate, going to really give the same power fancy that I think a lot of people...
I'm not sure. I saw somebody have a whole bunch. I think we're going to watch one of the videos. He has like 15 of them.
People are expecting. There is such a large...
Endgame, you're not going to be switching builds as your gear goes in targeted to one build. But if that should be the player's choice. You see what I'm saying? The player should have the choice to go, you know what, I'm switching builds. Not to sink another 30 hours into the same type of character, just a different swap.
Large percentage that love Diablo 3 for this. Now, Diablo 3 is my least favorite ARPG because it tells you what to play. It's incredibly easy, and it is just the entire power fancy of just right-clicking down monsters. But there are so many people that love that, and a lot of people want Diablo 4 to be that. They don't necessarily want it to be a struggle. They don't want low pack size, like the density we saw, and obviously I can't talk about leaked content, but we have seen some of that too. It doesn't look great for the power fancy of just mowing down monsters. A lot of what we've seen, it's a lot more like specific and more thought out, like, okay, this zone has some monsters, but now you're not seeing a monster for like a...
Oh yeah, that's on top of that, Quintar. They're gonna nerf stuff, right? They're gonna nerf stuff at 100%. And with PvP, right? Yeah, there's PvP in here, DJ. They haven't seen the PvP yet, but certain builds, now exactly. And here's where the PvP, right? Oh, I'm in endgame. Well, I already have my set skill. Well, I come across somebody in the world and I can't defend against him, so I want to switch my gear. Nope, sorry, it's too expensive for you to change your build to go against PvP. You're gonna have to break a brand new barbarian and then come back to PvP and play. Paragon points may allow this ability to become viable, so you may want to use that instead. True, Roic, you might be 100% correct, right? Still, I don't think... my number one rule in any game, in especially a looter, is that respect the player's time, right? And if you have a thing that you're putting in the game where it's so expensive you can't respec, you're doing the complete opposite of respecting the player's time. If that person has a choice and goes, oh, you know what? I don't want 15 different barbarians. Now, if they want a barbarian to be a whirlwind, a barbarian to be a tank, whatever, I shouldn't have 5 barbarians. Seasons are different. I'm talking about the main thing. I shouldn't have to make a brand new barbarian just to go up a different skill tree, right? I should be able to, obviously, if I want one of each character, I have 5 characters of each of the different classes. But if I want to have, why would I want 5 barbarians? Because I want to try different skill sets later in the end game.
Minute or so. And that also seems a little bit at odds to me. So while there's a lot of...
it feels like it's in there for monetary value down the line, as far as making you play. Oh, you want to try different classes out? Do the seasons with the barbarian. Each season you can try a different barbarian or whatever.
Things that I'm like, yeah, this is very clearly designed.
Oh, agree.
More simplistic
loadouts would be much
play,
better.
More casual players. There are some things that just seems incredibly at odds at it. So by sort of being like dancing between these lines and not necessarily in a good way, I'm just wondering, who will Diablo 4 end up being for? I want games to be very, very different from each other. It's cool if they take some things. I don't mind.
Paul, but the point is, what about if I find a piece of gear down the road and I'm like, oh man, like it's a god tier piece of gear, but it doesn't fit my build. Do you know what I mean? But then I'm like, you know what? I've been playing this character for 30 hours. I want to try something different, right? Let me just swap. No, you gotta go play another 30 hours to level up back to the same point that you're on now, just so you can put that piece on. So what sounds more respecting the player's time? Taking that piece of gear, putting it into the thing, and then leveling up another character for 30 hours to get to that point, or just let me respect.
That. But I want Last Epoch, Diablo 4, and Path of Exile to be very strong identities and very different, so that
It
people
ends today,
have
I
more
think, at noon.
choice. And I was expecting it to
Or
be
1,
Diablo 4
like that.
will be the most
Eastern.
casual one for casual players, very easy, gives you the power fancy, gives you the hack and slash. And then you have Last Epoch somewhere in the middle, and you have Path of Exile for the people that
Oh, so it's
you
3
shut
o'clock,
out
3
the
o'clock in
light,
the
you
afternoon,
really
East
sit
Coast?
there for 16 hours calculating out your build, and you really want that.
Hold on, I'm gonna rewind here because he's saying something. I think
And then you have Last Epoch somewhere in the middle, and you have Path of Exile for the people that, you shut out the light, you really sit there for 16 hours calculating out your build, and you really want that complexity, you want that insane endgame, etc. And having the choice between those three would be so great, but I'm starting to wonder, is that going to be Diablo?
Yeah, see, he's made a point of it's not hardcore enough, right? It's not enough complexity for him particularly.
Diablo 4. Honestly, it's just something we're going to have to wait and see. I just want to make this video, get people talking about it a little bit. What do you think? Do you think I'm onto something? Do you think I'm stupid? Keep in mind, this is only a level 25 beta, and we don't have the full game. I've never had access to the endgame beta or anything, so I know nothing about it, aside from leaks that we're seeing on Reddit and stuff.
I haven't
One
looked
thing
anything up
that's
for
so
leak
scary to
wise.
me about the legendary items with the reduced drop rate, it basically
Right, so there's gonna be less legendaries with a less drop rate.
becomes the problem I have with sets, at least. Well, there aren't sets because it is one item. The problem I have with sets is that it homogenizes gear and tells you what skill to play in Diablo 3. But it definitely will end up telling you what skill to play.
Right.
So I would rather like to see that either it has an impact on multiple skills or multiple things. I would love to see the removal of the damage increase, because just changing something in a neat way is already, or should already be, the exciting part of the legendary. When it both affects the way it plays, and not in a negative way, and triples your damage, then it kind of ends up being a no-brainer. Now, hopefully at the end game, when we do have a lot of legendaries, you end up the choice between a lot of these different skills, but I am a little bit worried about seeing in this early 25 demo that some skills are so much ahead of others, regardless of even having legendaries.
Right, it's going to be the meta.
As soon as you unlock Chain Lightning, Fireball, Frozen Orb, Chain Lightning is just miles ahead of everything else by default.
Yeah. There's going to be a meta, regardless. If you find it early on or you find it later, someone's going to find out that this is the best build.
Another thing that is very dated and I hope gets fixed before launch of Diablo 4 is the dungeon design. Obviously, a lot of the bosses are just reused. So if you're jumping between several dungeons, sometimes you'll just see the exact same boss that you just fought. That's pretty lame. A lot of the designs of the dungeons themselves.
Yeah, that's one thing I didn't like. A lot of the bosses were the same boss fights. Lots of the dungeons were the exact same boss fights. And they were kind of boring. They didn't do much besides area of effect, like poison pools down below you. And as a necromancer and a sorcerer, no big deal. As a druid, not so much, but as a barbarian, you have to stand in the goddamn puddle. And he doesn't move, right? The bad guy just stands in the puddle, and if you run around trying to like dodge it, he just makes other puddles. And you're like, well, fuck it, I gotta go in. You go in and you're just tanking it, and you're like, I'm gonna do enough damage to get down to the first thing. So the damage I'm taking, I'm just gonna replenish my health. I thought that was a stupid design type of thing, and there's a lot of bosses like that.
Those are very
little
like
lazy
tedious
design
and macy and not necessarily fun to go through. But the number one thing that is really bad is there are some dungeons that you have to kill every single monster down to the last one.
That's another thing. Why do they make you, right? I feel like, and I might be stretching this a little bit because Microsoft doesn't own Activision just yet. Okay. But why do I have to kill everything in the dungeon? Okay. I don't really like backtracking. It's not a big deal. Like, I hate it. Like, if I get to the end, I'm like, oh, and I missed something. I got to go back. But at the same time, you're playing the game, you're leveling up, but you know the drops that you're getting through the dungeon are nothing because you killed everything. But you have to kill everything. You have to kill everything to get to the next partition, if you per se. And I'm just like, why do I have to kill everything? And I feel like they want you to time sink more. They want you to stay in the game as long as possible. Yeah, it's a couple of minutes here and there, but it's still like, can't I just kill like 80%, 90% of them?
In an area before you're able to progress. And sometimes on top of this, that also has that you need to pick up every single essence that monster
Oh, that's right. You got to go back and pick up the essence of the characters as well.
drops. These are like super outdated concepts from the year 2000 that generally nearly every other ARPG is solved by having, well, you only need to kill 90% and then you can progress. Or if it is kill everything, it's a very, very linear zone where you're very...
I think what it is, Water, I think the reason people, like, when they want the complexity of, like, Diablo, and now Diablo's got another game, they left Diablo to go play Path of Exile because Path of Exile was more complex. But they really like Diablo better. You see what I'm saying? They really like Diablo better, and they want Diablo to step up the game like Path of Exile because they really would rather play Diablo than Path of Exile. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's... I never understood this. This is my argument with PvP. Everyone's like, this game should have not this game, but I'm saying like first-person shooter players, right? Oh, they should do this. They should do this. Well, if you want that, then just keep playing the same game you're playing, right? This is a completely separate game, but they always want the same thing over at the new game. Well, this should have Battle Royale. This should have this. It's like, well, if you like those things, then go play the other thing. Stop making this into that.
very unlikely to actually have to go back. So... very, very weird concepts that I hope get fixed between now and launch. Another thing that ends up being really frustrating is obviously the level scaling. I've talked about this a lot in previous videos, but it also became a lot more noticeable on the druid. And one thing that I really felt is destroying the game for me is every single time I level up, my character becomes weaker and not stronger.
Yeah, I don't like the level changing. Like, I don't like... If I find good gear, I hate the leveling process of they're always the same level as me. I know it's a personal thing. I don't like the leveling constantly throughout the thing. Because if I have gear that's doing damage as of right now, and I understand they want me to get new gear and whatnot, but if I'm building up a thing, okay, I should be building up and then going into that section. So if I'm level 18, I decide I want to go into a level 20 and go up against those things, then that's what I want to do. But everything's always the same level. Everything's always the same level as you. And there's never this, like, you feel weaker at times.
This is basically super reverse of any other ARPG. You only feel stronger when you get a huge power spike in item or you unlock some sort of big combo. Other than that, you actively feel punished, and not in a small way. You feel it every single level that you are getting punished whenever you level up. And that is very rough. A lot of the other classes were so overpowered in comparison to the druid that you don't feel it as much. But on druid, it feels even worse than what Oblivion felt like. An important thing.
The way I've talked about it is that I feel like through the main game, there should be sections, right? Once you're done with the main campaign, think of like a Division or Division 2. At the end of Division 2, the black tusks come in, and then they make it, and then basically you're at the end game, and then everything scales with you. I think during the regular game, everything should have like zones. So this is a zone 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 50, whatever. Then once you beat the game and get to end game, then the world turns into a scale fest, right? For example, I was running a Necromancer, and I know one thing is my character needs intellect. Be you outside of that, I have no clue what else I need. And I was getting close to damage, distance, damage crit, etc. Druid was an issue in the beta as you didn't have the booms to scale. Right. It's just a small sampling. I'm not in any way, shape, or form going, this game sucks, I'm not gonna get it. I enjoyed myself like to the tens, man. I loved it. I mean, I leveled up 4 characters to 25, and I wanted to level up my rogue to level 25, but basically just ran out of time. I don't want to play now because I'm just not gonna make it. But and it's gonna get erased anyway. I love it. I think the game is good. I don't think it's great. I think it's good. I think that the game's going to have its problems when it comes out, and they're going to fix it over time. But I think that's by design, not on, you know what I mean? That's on purpose, not because they're lazy or anything. I believe the companies do that because they can. They don't have to do what they have to do because they know you're going to buy the product anyway. So I feel like they do the bare minimum, and then because it's a live service game, because it's always online, they're going to incrementally make the changes. They make something shitty so they can fix it later to make you come back and play it. That's the game for them. I bet they have a different level instance, so at level 25, it can ruin a level 8's day by clearing the area. Perhaps. Even trying Googling these things, I couldn't even find anything. Yeah, because it's so new. I hit level 25 in the closed beta, and I played a little as the past week, and most of my gear is level 16. Nothing actually dropped at my level. Well, you can gamble with the what are those things called? I call them boons, but they're not boons. You can go to the vendor and then purchase. You can roll the dice and see if you get gear, your legendary gear and stuff. I guess it also really shows how simple Destiny and Division games are. It's only my only background. Yeah, I mean, they are pretty simple. Running around the same, so I don't know. I was doing the events, got no upgrades. You got no, well, no, you got the coins. That's what I'm saying. Go, and then you go, the orbs. Yeah, that's it. The orbs. That's what they're called.
Even if they don't nail it at launch, they have said that they are going to be doing beefy league updates. And every time I talk about that on stream, people sadly say copium, but you do have to remember Blizzard is very a for-profit company, and we see very clear reasons for why they themselves would have a big reason to make sure that the seasons are beefy.
For sure.
That is why I feel that it's a lot less copium. They're going to be selling cosmetics. They're going to be selling the battle pass.
What were you playing on, Ford? I didn't have that much lag this weekend.
Whereas like previous things like Diablo 3, they would just have to hope that new players are buying the game. So they're a lot less incentivized to actually have big updates outside of expansions, which is no longer the case. So yeah, I do think that there is a good chance that we will get beefy updates because of the financial incentive. Either way, I hope you guys enjoy.
All right. You can see the difference there. Let's see the next person. We have Extra Life or Fextra Life.
Come and gone, and with it another Diablo 4 beta. And in this beta, we got to play the Necromancer and Druid classes. And in this video, I kind of want to give my final verdict for this game, what I think we can expect for it, and why I think maybe this game should be delayed based on what I've seen so far. So first, let me just say I've been having an absolute blast playing the beta. When I'm not playing the beta, I'm thinking about playing the beta. This is good news in my opinion. Anytime you're thinking about playing a game when you're not playing a game, that's a good sign. Had a blast playing the Druid.
Yeah, I don't think the chests were doing the right thing. I opened another one, Quintar, I got crap.
Build that absolutely busted the game was probably my highlight of the weekend, other than playing a Werewolf Druid, which I really love, which will probably be my main at launch. It kind of gave us a glimpse with the Necromancer into what sort of things we might be able to expect at endgame in terms of clear speed and things like that when you get a build that comes together that's really cracked. This is, I think...
Hey, there's another Druid. I'm telling you, man, I think the Druid obviously is getting a bad rap because it is the slowest to get to power. But it feels good when you play the Druid.
The thing that people really love about Path of Exile is that you can make builds like this on the fly, and obviously builds people had in like Diablo 2 Resurrected, etc., where they could just fly through the content with some busted builds. I think people are looking forward to more of that in this game. There weren't really a lot of builds like that in the beta. There were some, but compared to what you might actually see, in like Diablo 2, for instance, they were very few. No, obviously we were missing uniques and things like that that are supposed to be game changers because they don't drop until World Tier 3, which was...
And I think that's another big thing, right? This beta test is... Here's the mentality of the beta test. The beta test for them was test out the mechanics in the game and whatnot and give us a sampling of what was going on. A chunk of us came into this game and they're playing it like the game's released, and they're upset about the drop rates. They're upset about the power's not powerful enough. They're upset. The other group's like, this is actually pretty fun. This is actually good. There's actually things to do. I could see like what they're trying to do and showing us it's like a peek into the book, right? And that's the funny part to me. Like, game's not launched. They gave you a huge section of the game to check out. 5 classes, the first act. Like you could determine as a customer by playing this open beta if you want to buy this game. And I think they've succeeded in letting people try it out and make the choice if it's good enough or bad enough that they don't want to partake, or they do want to partake, right? I think they got the testing that they wanted as far as the servers go. It's an older build. They've done their due diligence of what this is. Overall, I thought it was a pretty solid beta, right? There was a closed beta last week. I was a little upset last week because of the queue times, because they knew how many people were going to be in it, and yet there was still a queue time. This week, open beta, much better queue times, at least on my end. Even when I was in a queue, I wasn't waiting longer than 15, 16 minutes, I think it was. Okay? But I think more companies should do what they did with this. Put a beta out, let the people play it like a demo, and see if they like it or not. Okay? It's just smart business choice, right? I think people are being a little too hard. I mean, there was one review that we watched last week that was complaining about the goddamn font. Do you know what I mean?
It's not available in this beta. And even if it was, I'm not sure how many people would be able to do it, just because it felt like the game got harder the further your character progressed, not easier. So unless your itemization and farming is on point, you're going to struggle. So we'll see how those items change the game and how builds are affected by those. I can't wait to see that in the full version of the game. And I will tell you, I am going to be missing Diablo 4 after the beta period is
Yeah, I want to continue playing. Like, I'm sad that the game doesn't come out till June.
over. Those things said, I definitely feel like this game is not ready for a launch in 2 months. And the reason I say that is because there were lots of connection issues during the beta period. There's going to be heavy traffic for this game, and unlike the beta, that the progress doesn't carry over to full game, people's progress is going to carry over day to day. So instead of like after day 1 of people having a headache they couldn't play, going, oh, I'll try again at launch and it's not worth the headache, and as the days went on in the beta, less and less people were playing because they knew their progress wasn't going to carry over. At the full launch of the game, that's not going to happen. People are going to keep logging into this game day after day or trying to get into the game.
The forums for the beta were outrageous. Quote, I'm canceling my pre-order. Quote, laugh at this game and my other things. It's a beta. It won't work correctly and will be buggy. Insert game here. You know what I mean?
And if these login issues aren't resolved, if there isn't some better way for people to play this game, if they're constantly getting disconnected, this is going to be a disaster of a launch, a la Diablo 3 all over again. But in my opinion, it goes further beyond that. There are an absolutely staggering amount of bugs in this game, just about...
No, it was open beta, General. Open beta this weekend. You didn't have to pay for anything. It was anybody can play it. If you did the closed beta, you pre-ordered the game. The open beta this weekend, you didn't have to pay. You didn't have to buy anything. You didn't have to pre-order. You didn't have to buy a sandwich. You didn't have to do anything.
Everywhere I went in this game had bugs trying to leave the city. You couldn't get out of the city. The rubber banding when you go into different parts of the world, to bugs that cause people to fall through the map, to bugs that cause people to bug in dungeons, not be able to complete, from quest bugs that cause quests not to complete.
Exactly.
All kinds of
things,
chests you couldn't interact with.
This game's broken. That they feel like their video's enough. instead of filling out the form and saying, "Hey, it glitched and buggy," and whatnot. I did that with Hogwarts Legacy when I fell through the map. I sent them a nice little feedback. Said, "Hey, there's a hole in the map off to the side of the castle."
Playing cooperative on console, for instance, Vex and I were playing couch co-op. Anytime you attack with a basic attack, if you're player 2, the screen just shakes like weirdly. It just tries to recenter the camera. made it almost unplayable with any build that has any form of basic attack. I have played a lot of games recently that did not feel like they were finished or properly polished by the time they got released, and you started to see those games get review bombed on different platforms because players have frankly had enough of games that are getting published that are not ready to go, and I really worry that Diablo 4 is not going to be in a very good place in a couple of months. That's not to say that the majority of the game isn't ready to go, because it feels like 80 to 85% of this game is ready to go from the beta. But that 15-10% of it is huge, and I think players are to the point where they're no longer understanding of these sort of things. They're not tolerating it anymore. And if this game comes out and it's not in a very good playable state, or even...
Here's the thing. If you think, if you have one iota that you don't think this game is going to be finished when it comes out, don't buy it. It's that simple. There's not a secret about this. Instead of giving your money up front to something, there's 1,000 ways to find out if the game is good or bad. There's going to be articles written. There's early previews. There's day one release. There's 1 week after. There's 1 month after. You do not have to buy this game, or any game for that matter, on day one to go upset about your money. Okay? Hold your money until you see what you feel is enough information for you. If you play this open beta and said, you know what, this game, I didn't have any fun, it was boring, it's dull, it didn't have enough stuff, there's a couple bugs, then don't buy it. 4 days early, there's going to be a whole bunch of people that buy this game early. Then after that 4 days, the initial release, there'll be plenty of information if this game is good or bad, if it's buggy, unfinished, or whatever. There'll be people that are done with the game before release. There will be people in endgame day one, 4 days before release. There's going to be so much information flying at you, you're not even going to know what to do with it. You're going to be overwhelmed by the information, okay? So for anyone that's like, I don't know, I'm not going to buy it, or they feel like they got gypped, that's on you. That's no longer on the companies anymore.
It's in a playable state, but there just are a lot of issues with bugs and things like that. People are not going to be forgiving, particularly with Blizzard. Blizzard doesn't have, you know, some great PR that people can go, oh, it's Blizzard, no worry about it. They're going to jump all over the hate train on this. So if this game isn't absolutely ready to go at launch, it's going to be a disaster. Now, I've heard through the grapevine that this build is an older build of the game and it isn't conducive of the current state of the game. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I hope that makes some of this, you know, concern unfounded, and when we get the game, it's in a much better state. Because I can almost guarantee you that this game will not be
Cybersword, I absolutely loved the beta. Like, I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. I wanted to keep playing and playing. I wanted to go outside the first act. I leveled up 4 characters to 25. I had my 5th character to 16. Like, I loved it. I'm hooked. I'm ready. Here's the thing, though. I don't know if I'm paying $90, right? I don't know if I'm paying $90 on 4 days early access. I think I might just wait for the regular standard edition to come out 4 days later.
Fact that they've already promoted the launch date heavily, and that the ultimate edition of the game gets early access by 4 days of this game, and they've given specific dates for that, makes me believe that there is no way in hell, pardon the pun, that this game is going to be delayed. But I really, really wonder if it should be. Now, the timing of Baldur's Gate...
Now, it's interesting that you said that it should be. No, it's not going to be delayed. Even if it was broke, right? If it's like... Is this game going to come out like Cyberpunk? Yeah, there's always a chance now. There's always a chance. But this is not getting delayed. This is coming out. And because it's an online service game, they'll take their time and fix the bugs over the next month, 3 months, 6 months, 8 months. That's the world we live in now.
Gate 3 coming out at the end of August, Starfield coming out just after that, makes delaying this game very difficult beyond that, because you don't want to push this game into that window, as it will affect sales, you know, of those games and of this game. So I don't know when they would delay it to. If they did delay it, they couldn't delay it long. It would be maybe a month at most, or they'd have to try and put it somewhere after that window. So I don't see that happening.
I didn't, Travis. I didn't hear that.
I am concerned that because of all the things I've seen, and this is not including like balancing changes and all that stuff, which honestly I'm not so worried about, because that sort of thing is just going to be whacked at launch anyway. Games don't launch with perfect balancing.
Eldente, can you play with controller? I'm sure you can. I know it's a dumb question, but Can you play with controller on PC for this game? Did anyone play with a controller? Yeah, you can? Okay.
Things have to be tested by thousands of players before balancing gets happened, and I think balancing will sort itself out over time. But again, there are still other issues with this game. For instance, the game lagged a lot. Like, there were constant FPS drops while playing this game. The towns had very poor performance when players were in them.
Because I might pick it up for PC. I might pick it up for PC just because it's a lot cheaper.
There were lag spikes that happened for 10, 15 seconds at a time, particularly during like the world boss events. And I just wonder like how that's going to get resolved if this game is lagging. Network issues aren't as easy to resolve, in my opinion, as, you know, game balancing or maybe.
Yeah, I didn't have any lags of the rubber banding out of the towns. That was it.
Incorrect coding. Networking issues, you know, have to do with a lot of fundamental issues of the game, the way it's designed, how much throughput is going through, you know, the lines back and forth between internet connections. And I don't know how that's going to get improved in 2 months. I play a lot of MMOs, and frankly, MMOs that have server and connection issues and, you know, these sort of frame drops and things like that. I've been waiting for fixes for some of them for years that have never come. Admittedly, you know, some of them are just in PvP areas where there's hundreds of people, and I can understand where there's issues there. But this is like not nearly on that scale, and there's still performance issues in terms of network connections. So I really wonder how that's going to get resolved in this period of time, because even if this is an earlier build of the game and it's not reflective of what the actual game is, those sort of things, in my opinion, aren't as easy to fix, and I don't know how that's going to get fixed in that period of time. In my opinion, this is really the biggest drawback of having a persistently online game, is that, you know, if there's lag, if there's performance issues, if players are constantly getting booted from the game, even if they can log back in quickly, it disrupts the flow of the game. And if you have no offline mode that players can then play the game, they have no way to play. When people buy a game, they pay money for a game, even a premium money for a game in this case, they expect to play. That's
I agree with his point that he's making here.
just the reality. They expect.
I don't like that it's always online. Three things I'm worried about this game. PvP balancing is one of the problems. The other problem is the respec cost thing. And then the third thing is that I wish there was an offline mode for people. Being online only not only just says, well, you have to have internet to play, tells me that there are going to be problems with this game. Okay, if it's major or small ones, or they plan on constantly changing the values of certain classes and whatnot. Okay, like if it was an offline game, the cost is what it is and what it is, right? Like this was hitting at 100%, right? They wouldn't be able to change it. Now, obviously, I know they can make small patches or whatnot, but online only, they're going to constantly balance what's going in and out of the meta. And that's what I'm worried about with this game. But again, I'm speaking in general because I'm not going to partake in any of the PvP aspects myself. I'm just going to play the single-player game. I'll play co-op with people. We'll go through, level up characters. I'm looking for leveling characters up, getting the best gear, getting cool gear. That's basically why I'm playing this game. First off is just for the story. Second off is to level up other characters and get cool gear. That's it.
Be able to play, and if that doesn't happen on launch day, it's going to be bad. So I really hope this stuff gets resolved. But honestly, from what I've seen so far, I feel like it's a tall order to do in such a short
Do I need
amount of time.
Xbox or PlayStation Plus to play Division 2? I'm not sure. I don't know the answer to that, Travis.
Now, I hope this video doesn't just sound like I am absolutely shitting all over the game, because that's just not the reality. I really like this game so far. I've been having a lot of fun with it, more fun than I expected to have with it. Regardless of whether it's a Diablo game or not a Diablo game, it's been fun. I've been playing the classes. I've played all of them. They're a lot of fun to play. I like the way legendary system works in the game. I can't wait to see more. When I'm not playing, I'm thinking about playing. It's a good sign. But I do have concerns about the performance of this game, whether it's going to be polished at launch, whether there's going to be bugs. And that's really my only concern for this game. It's not the way the game is designed, although maybe dungeons could be designed better so you don't have to backtrack so much. That's maybe my biggest bitch.
Yeah.
But otherwise...
Well, it's funny because some dungeons have the gate, right? Now, all dungeons, you can go into your maps and click the beginning of the map and then teleport there. But at the same time, just put the gate by the boss fight again, like they used to do, right? I don't understand that.
Otherwise, it's really just a concern about the performance of the game. There's a lot of games out there, you know, that you can really like the game, but not really like the performance of the game. And I'm really worried about Diablo 4's performance and how it's going to be at the launch.
No, I think Ford though. I think you can play Division 2 offline though, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if you need like Xbox Gold or whatever to play it. Obviously, if you wanted to get the seasons and stuff, then yeah. But I think the main campaign, I think you could play offline.
To the game. So what do you guys think? All of you guys out there who played the beta this past weekend or the weekend before, what do you guys think? Am I crazy about the performance issues? Did you guys experience rubber banding, frequent disconnects, etc.? Did you experience bugs? Are you worried about bugs in this game?
Now, I didn't have that many issues with bugs. All right, the last person we're going to watch this morning is Creparium.
How's it going? Creparium here. Today we're going to do the Diablo 4.
This guy's a Diablo legend. Okay. Very chill dude. Knows a lot about Diablo. So we're going to listen to him.
Or class review. Some of you guys have really been waiting for my opinion on this. I have just finished playing the 2 classes they added in the second round of beta, and this is basically all we're going to get until the game actually releases a couple of months from now. It is a low-level experience, but there is a lot to be learned even from a low-level experience, and I will mention the changes that I expect the classes to experience on a case-by-case basis as they level up in terms of what probably will happen, because we can see the skill tree and we have rumors from Divine of.
All right, I'm gonna speed him up to 1.25. He's a pretty slow talker, and I think we'll still be able to
players that have maybe played and all that. Now, before we get into it, a quick shout out here to Extrafy. So Extrafy is one of my of it. It is good. So druid, and again, I am comparing.
So this is his tier list. This is his tier list. He's telling you what he thinks each of the classes are.
Near 25 with just found gear. So I know I've been playing like a level 25 Sork and a few others for a while after. No, I re-leveled some of those. This is the gear that you can expect to have while you're leveling. Honestly, it's probably a little bit better than you can expect to have, because in the beta there is a roughly 3 times multiplier on dropped legendaries. So
yeah, 3 times multiplier on drop legendaries.
These characters, this is not like farming the 1 level 35 mob.
So you're not going to see stuff like this when you play through the main game. You're probably going to see, you might have 1 legendary on you. You'll have a lot of gold, right? You'll have a lot of gold on you.
For like 20 hours to get gear that's essentially like level 40 gear. No, none of that, okay? This is what you can expect to have as a true leveling experience in terms of gear, and no specific legendaries other than maybe a few that I find, and I'll outline how that worked out. So Druid. Druid works pretty simply. You have spirit generators and you have spirit spenders. There are many classes of skills. There are like lightning melee, lightning ranged, melee, which is like the werewolf transform.
You guys okay with the 1.25 speed up a little bit? You guys can still understand them good?
And melee, that's the were-bear transform, and you just transform for the attack individually is how it works. The skills are themed appropriately. For the basic skills, there's no real standout. They're all okay. I think maybe Storm Spike is among the better ones because you have Immobilize and Vulnerable that can proc, which is pretty nice. Pulverize is an interesting skill because every 10 seconds if you remain over 80 health, it guaranteed overpowers, and overpowers a lot of damage. So basically, this type of Pulverize...
You know what the problem is between the Necromancer and Sorcerer and like Druid and Barbarian? And see, the Rogue sit in the middle. Right? No one really complains about the Rogue. Rogue is good. He's not fantastic, but he's also not crappy. He's just perfect in the middle. He's like Goldilocks. The Druid's abilities, when you slam, he's like, boom, you slam. That's it. It's like a quick big hit. Where the Necromancer stuff is just like this elongated, like you're doing massive damage over time.
Build kind of like melee. It's pretty good if you're doing like a questing, because every 10 seconds this ability will actually do a ton of damage. Otherwise, I've found that Landslide is probably the best way to spend your spirit. The Cyclone Armor is pretty good. Blood Hell's pretty...
Yeah, but Travis, that is a aesthetic choice they made for the game. And if you don't like the gray, that's cool, right? If you like more colorful stuff, now obviously I know you're not going to play Fortnite either, but that's the art style of Fortnite, very colorful and whatnot. I prefer this. I like this personally than what Diablo 3 is, right? I didn't think I didn't like Diablo 3 for its looks until I saw this. And then when I go back to Diablo 3, I'm like, man, I really like Diablo 4's look.
Good. They have minions, but they don't really shine. You might be able to stack it because there's some legendary powers. And you have Trample as a movement skill. And I'll just give you guys a little bit of a demo here. Overall,
plus the section of the game we're in, like the region that we're in, is snow. It's not sunny and bright. It's dark and doomy snow. That's what snow is, gray. Why people go to the tropics.
I'm going to rank these classes
Hot
out
and
of
colorful.
10. This is just a dungeon I like in particular. Druid is the lowest damage class in Diablo 4. I would rank it a 4 out of 10 damage. So we can use like a movement skill, but you notice.
Now I'm gonna give him discredit because they did such a good job that it looks fake.
It actually takes a little bit to cast. So we're going to guaranteed overpower. That's the big slap. So we want to heal, but that actually takes a second, you know? We want to punt away with Cyclone Armor. That takes a second. With Druid, the tools are there, but they're all
Xander's like, we're in hell. There is no rainbows.
pretty low damage in the beta, and they're all really slow. And while I do think that the Druid will have pretty good damage,
I can't adjust the audio for his game. It's in his audio, so
later on, just because you're able to get some pretty powerful combos. You won't have to use spirit generators as much. Your spirit always stays the same. It doesn't go up, it doesn't go down. It's not too bad. Oh, Conduit Shrine, that's nice. But the slap while questing, I think, makes it a playable character, even though the damage is like really, really low. You can see here, this is not good damage. It's like okay just from those overpower guarantees, but that's it. Very poor damage, very slow. I think the damage.
That's
will
not
pick
true,
up,
Travis.
but
Have you
you're
been to
always going
Portland
have a
recently?
bit of a clunky character, so keep that in mind. The survival, I would say, is 6 out of 10.
That's
there
a joke.
Are survival skills.
By
There
the way,
is easy ways to fortify. The Werebear has some tanky options. There are survivability options, but in the beta, they are again not really fully realized. Next up, that's right. It's gonna be Barbarian. Barbarian I rank as the second worst, or placing 4th out of 5 if you want to look at it. There is some good news with Barbarian though, and that is that players have exhaustively played the Barbarian to a point where there are actually pretty good.
Yeah, there's, and I think that's the same way that the Druid's going to happen. Like you saw Majestic earlier, he's already got like 2 builds for the Druid. I found another 3rd build for Druid that are actually pretty good. But he's right. Since last week's Barbarian test and this week's Barbarian test, a lot of people have been played Barbarian, and there are Barbarian builds. Right after we were done playing last week, everyone's like, oh, the Barbarian's crappy because Sorcerer was so good and Rogue was pretty decent. Barbarian. But now people have made builds with Barbarians and got the gear, and they're like, dude, this is actually a really good build.
Damage builds with Barbarian. The Barbarian, I would say, is a 7 out of 10 damage. The damage is actually respectable, very playable. Okay, very playable damage. How do we achieve that? Well, we go with Flay because Bleed is pretty good and you get some extra thorns. Rend is actually a decent skill, but it's a damage over time, so you kind of have to survive in the meantime. It can keep up vulnerable, which is pretty nice. The War
I
Cries
didn't
are
mean
all
to
pretty
make my
good because
joke
they have
be
powerful
political.
synergies if you
People
use
talk
all
about
of
other
them, so we're
cities
just gonna use
now.
all of them.
Joke.
And it turns out Thorns is actually pretty good. I wouldn't go all in on a Thorns. I wouldn't go all in on a Bleed.
Go on,
but
Jesse
you
Mac.
know what? If you put it all together, it's like okay. Yes, we have.
What I liked about the Barbarian, when you're doing your normal attack, he like leaps towards them and smashes them and stuff.
We have realized okay damage. Bleed plus Thorns plus Warcry.
I didn't have any thorns on my build, and I liked it.
And Warcries have the added benefit that I think they apply to, because I think they're minions, they call the Ancients. This is the triple elite pack. This is like a no joke, but you're going to start seeing the survivability isn't so good. I would rank Barb as the lowest survivability, and this is kind of a misconception.
Really? Lowest?
I think, because in previous titles, Barbarians was actually one of the tankiest, if not the tankiest characters. In Diablo 4, even though there are some tools to keep you alive, some survivability options, I think they are below every other class in the game. And because you can't really gain much from closing the gap, you're always going to have that really forced melee playstyle. Even though it's pretty much a consensus that the damage should be pretty good later on.
Yeah, the damage is going to be good, but that's interesting. So it's not crappy. It's just, he says it's the lowest.
I expect Barbarian to be one of the top damage, if not the top damage, in terms of standing in front of your target and target dummying the damage. In terms of that damage, I think Barb is likely to be top or very near the top.
I would go Division.
You just never escape the forced melee, which always brings your survivability into question, and the tools are just not sufficient. You know, challenging shout and a little bit of regen from it. You have some bare bone fortify options. There's like some movement skills like leap, but it's a 17-second cooldown, and the bar slots are really important for Barbarians. So it really.
Jesse, all we did this morning was I gave you my thoughts on the druid and the necromancer. My thoughts on the game overall, about my excitement and whatnot, and then we went to different YouTubers and watched some of the content that they were making of Diablo. That's basically all we've done on today's show.
Really doesn't do too well. The forced melee is really a problem, and for those Barbarian players that are expecting high survivability, this is not the class for you. If you want to play a barbaric, melee, gritty combat character that actually resembles the Barbarians.
His character looked exactly like mine. It's exactly the way I had my outfit.
A barbaric, melee, gritty combat character that actually resembles the Barbarians in previous games. You're going to
actually doing a build right now with the rogue. I'm doing. I got away from the long range with the bows, and I just started doing knives and poison. So trap poison damage, with quick stabs. It's actually a lot of fun.
Melee rogue is about the same damage as Barbarian, but the survivability is pretty good. So
I stopped watching after episode 2, Travis. I've heard 3 and 4 are pretty bad, and here we are coming up to 6.
Rogues have the option
or
of
5, episode
playing,
5.
Melee or range. These are actually the ranged abilities in both their generators and their spenders for energy. Now, their generators hardly generate very much. They mostly focus off regeneration. So we can do like flurry here. This is my skill of choice, and it's my skill of choice because it's.
Do you see? The rogues' energy comes back. The druids does not. The barbarians does not. The sorcerer, the necromancer, and the rogue, their abilities come back. If they switch it to make the barbarians maybe energized comes back, but slower than the rest, maybe that could help those two classes out.
Very high sustained skill. Where is it here? There it is. Each time Flurry damages a croucher or vulnerable enemy, you are healed for 1% of your maximum life. And Flurry itself, I believe it's here, cascades the vulnerable effect. So what you do is you proc vulnerable with puncture if they get hit for at least 2 of the blades. That's pretty easy to do. You then cascade the vulnerable with Flurry, and Flurry heals you a whole bunch. Rogues excel in burst through the effect of imbuements, which imbues the entire skill. So every hit gets this effect. You have the poison, the shadow, the frost. You can use a combination of them. The shadow clone is just 60% more damage for 15 seconds, but it's more than that because you can usually concentrate and use all of your cooldowns at once. The burst is there. The mobility, like, look how good the mobility is. That's a huge
watch how
coverage.
fast
And
it
Dash
goes
has
through.
2 charges and does pretty good damage, I would say. So overall, the Rogue, I think, matches the Barbarian in damage potential, at least in the beta. I would rank it 7 out of 10 damage. It easily surpasses the Barbarian in terms of survivability just through this significant regeneration that it can have. It's also a really fast character, which, I mean, you can just tell it's just really fast. It's brutally fast. So being a really fast character, it allows you to basically outplay situations. It's for those min-maxers, those high APM players. You're probably going to at least look at the Rogue as one of the options. Now, unlike Barbarian, I don't expect the Rogue's damage to go up that much later, but it's pretty good already. But one thing that I really like with Rogue, I don't know if I have it here. No, it's in the core skills. Yes, here it is. Heal for 1% of your maximum life when you critically strike close enemies. So for
I like how he's breaking this down.
melee gameplay in Rogue, in the beta, it's actually really hard to get much crit, but I imagine at high level, you'll be able to target focus crit. And I think with this ability, I don't think it has, like, passives don't tend to have cooldowns in Diablo 4. So I imagine that a high-level rogue actually has much higher
It's
survivability.
so fast, it'll leave you
rogue
disappointed.
might
What do you
be
mean by
one
that,
of the
Travis?
best survivability classes. Maybe. We'll see. You know, with those type of stats, you typically need crit to work for your damage as well. I imagine it does, right? But, you know, I don't know 100%. But overall,
Yeah,
I'm
look how
feeling
many look how many characters he's got. He's got 2, 4, 6. I think he's got 8 characters.
as well. I imagine it
He's out at the top. 1, 2.
does, right? But
Let's see,
you know, I
2.
don't know 100%. But overall, I'm feeling pretty confident.
He's got more than that.
I imagine it
time.
does.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Right, but you know, I don't know 100%.
He's got 8 characters
but overall,
there.
I'm feeling pretty confident about it. I think it is a good choice. Necromancer. So we played Necromancer today. Necromancer does a ton of damage. Just out of the gate, I will tell you that Necromancer, in my opinion, is a 10 out of 10 damage class. Again,
Yeah, it's insane. Necromancer is insane.
we're talking about target dummy here.
I feel again, and this is just me personally. I feel like the Necromancer is so good. It's easy mode.
Like, mob is here, we do damage. We have skeletons. You have this, like, Book of the Dead thing where you can either use one of 3 different...
This is also, you got to use her book, or the Necromancer's book. You get to use the druid stuff, you know?
versions of skeleton mages, golems, and melee skeletons, or you can not use them and gain a passive effect. So in the case of skeleton mages, I'm not using them to deal 15 increased damage to vulnerable enemies. Is that worth it? I don't know. Maybe. The skeleton mages are pretty good. The skeleton warriors are pretty good. I'm actually running a very specific build with this character because I happen to find Blood Mist triggers corpse explosion on surrounding corpses when Blood Mist detonates a corpse. So that probably sounds like alien stuff to you, but basically, Necros have no movement skills, but they have this Blood Mist skill where they run slower, and if you put a point into it, it can spawn a corpse under it each second.
And
now,
then
with this ability,
it explodes, and if it explodes,
triggers
it explodes
corpse explosion, the actual skill that you have, and each time it does that, it reduces the cooldown of it. So this particular build is pretty high damage, and it's almost near full invulnerability uptime. I imagine this will be pretty nerfed, but the real reason why I give Necro 10 out of 10 damage is Bone Splinters. Actually, okay, Bone Spear is also a really good skill, and Bone Spear uses all your spirit and like has a massive damage multiplier. That's a really good skill. There's just some really good skills, but the one skill that I think is creme de la creme here is Bone Splinters. So Bone Splinters, just use it here real quick. It's just like a, you know, a few little darts basically. Sometimes it shoots 3, sometimes it shoots 5. I think it's like 33% chance to shoot 5. So
30%.
It's not too bad. But if something is even pretty close to melee, all of them will hit. So it is a pure shotgun ability. That is really, really nice. The lucky hit chance, considering that you're hitting 3 to 5 times per cast, is very decent. Remember, this is a level 2. At max, if you count the extra splinters, you're likely to get 30% chance. You are probably going to look at a skill that's about 140 average damage. You can get near guaranteed vulnerability because it's very easy to hit with 2, or you can get a passive crit buff. Now, crit is pretty good, and with bone skills, you can actually get a build where you stack essence and you get massive flat crit chance for just not really using many spenders. And this is insane because the basic skill is, in my opinion, and I think it's pretty clear cut, I think it's the best basic skill in the game.
Yeah, see, you can use essence, right? And it comes back. If I use my meter on barbarian or druid, you're basically screwed. You gotta jump back in and hit other people where they don't.
So you can just spam off of that. I think you can make a character purely off of basic skill. And just so we're clear, there are some massive basic skill multipliers. There's gems and weapons. I believe it's yellow gems that are...
I don't think it needs to be nerfed for single player, Travis. I don't. I think what's going to happen is during the PvP portion of this game, it's going to get nerfed. It's going to get nerfed.
Multipliers to basic skill damage. There is a legendary ability that is like 70% attack speed with basic skills. So the game just has, and I think there's just a stat that is, like 22% basic skill damage. So basic skill damage is like super common.
Like, why do I care as a gamer? Why do I care if the Necromancer is doing more damage than my Barbarian in a single player game? And if you're in my team, right? If you're in my team, and we're going through, why do I care? If we're in a team together, we're all getting XP together, right? We're all getting the loot together. We're all getting all that stuff together. So if I'm being pulled around or if we're the same level and you're doing more damage than me, who cares? Right? As long as I'm hanging out with my friends and we're having a good time, so much so, that's fine. It's the point of where now it's part of the PvP, and then we don't know the balancing of that. And because the balancing we don't know, that the Necromancer or the Sorcerer could just destroy potentially. I understand that the Druid and the Barbarian are more tanks, okay? But they could just dominate big time, and because of that, they could nerf it.
I'm going to scale. The problem is most characters don't have a good basic skill, but the Necro, it easily has the best one. And I have to imagine that Blizzard's not going to create such a massive scaling part of the game and not have any decent basic skills for anyone. The Necros is really a big standout, and I'll just show you here. So this is no bone skills. Like, I have none of those like crazy passives with crit. Look at that, I'm just one-shotting these mobs in melee range. This is an insane ability. Right? Now, it is pretty annoying to have to run into melee and use like a shotgun ability, but I think from a pure number standpoint, it's very good. We also see the minions doing a pretty good job at doing a little bit of extra damage, and of course tanking. If you're curious, oh, I kind of stood still there, that was kind of weird. We have Cursing, which offers a powerful survivability boost, and the minions tend to just also take a few hits. But if you're noticing, the minions are also kind of dying a lot. Actually, you can't move that. What's that about?
No, I don't think they fixed anything of that.
You get
Jesse.
the idea.
I don't think they fixed that during the widescreen thing. I think you can still teleport really far.
Necros are pretty cool. Why can't I move with that? That's actually pretty weird. It might actually be bugged or something. I'm not able to move when I have Blood Mist active, but normally you can.
Right. What's up, George? You got to think, why do they have it online, right? The PvP and also the world, like the world is together. So how would they sell skins if you couldn't see those skins on other people? Right? You're always online, you're a single player person, you happen to run around somewhere, and all of a sudden this rogue comes out of nowhere, and you're like, man, that costume looks really cool. Did they get that? And you're like, oh, it's in the store. Right? You gotta remember, there's always a reason of why they do certain things.
And it auto spawns the detonates, which is pretty good. But yes, so right now I have the Decrepify Curse, which is a slow 40% and 20% less damage. So that is a very big effect. Oh no, we got it. I'll just click. And yeah, it's pretty good. I think there might be some options for minion-based builds, but I would say they would be slim at endgame. I don't have the melee buffs. Like, you can get 45% increased life on your Skeleton Warriors. Also, your minions get your stats, but we're playing on the second difficulty of 4 difficulty levels, and if 45 health is the difference, and these are just dying a lot, yeah, I
played a game on mobile called Marvel Future Revolution. And they threw PvP in there. It was dumb.
Don't think that end game you're going.
But the reason they did that is so they could sell you skins and sell you power, so you could purchase stuff.
To look towards full minion builds, maybe, but you're going to have to spend a lot of your time in minion maintenance. Even with this build, you have to spend some time in minion maintenance. Now, while Necros have the best basic skill in the game, very powerful core skills, very powerful AoE skills, powerful legendary combos, and curses, numbers-wise, they're great. Very high damage, take less damage. However, one thing they don't have at all is a movement skill. And I really need a...
Which you would need then to have gear with movement speed, right?
Factor that in when considering the overall survival. Because survival is not just taking less damage, and certainly Necros take a little bit less damage than, you know, the baseline 100%. You know, they still have some tools with the minions. Now, the minions are going to die if you have like 2 or 3 rares, or if you find a butcher or any like really hard boss, and it can be really annoying because you need a corpse to summon one of them, right? I would put the Necro survival at 5. Just because of a no movement skill, it is going to be really tough to not get pinned down, surrounded, and killed. And I know we have like a near full invulnerability build right now with the Blood Mist weapon affix. I think the damage of this is pretty good, but I think Blizzard is not going to look kindly upon a full invulnerability build, so I wouldn't count on that making...
Right, they're going to nerf it.
It through, but because Necro has so many powerful offensive options, I think that Necro will still likely be king of damage until you get to like the end game. And you're looking at, you know, the super stacking abilities, min-maxing gear, at which point I'm expecting the Barbarian to pull ahead of the other classes. At least I hope so, because otherwise Barbarian is going to be completely hopeless at everything. So that's 4 out of 5 classes. Obviously, I think Sorc is the #1 class, but how do I rank it in numbers? So the Sorcerer has pretty decent basic abilities, but it doesn't really need to use them because the resource system just regenerates pretty quickly. Like, if you look at it, that's an like, that regeneration rate is about as much as you can get Fury on a Barbarian constantly using generators.
Sorry.
Okay, the Sorc just gets it. Yeah, we have powerful conjuration abilities that don't do a lot of damage per hit.
I'm trying not to clear my throat on the
they
microphone.
stay
Sorry
up
about that.
and continuously do damage. Damage-wise, the Sorcerer is very powerful. The teleport skill is the best movement skill in the game. It has the longest distance. It can go through walls. It can be used anytime because it gives you unstoppable, so you can use it while you're CC'd to break CC. And if you level the ability, it actually lowers the cooldown by about 0.5 seconds. Now, I was able to get a level 8 Hydra on the Sorc that I was decking out, and I imagine you can get skills much further than that. So if we're looking at like a level 10 teleport with some cooldown reduction, I think you're looking at about a 5-second or so teleport in endgame. And you can get this rune then. After teleporting, you gain 30% damage reduction for 5 seconds, which is ridiculous. I also mentioned in the How Good is Diablo 4 video the barrier stacking with Align the Elements. Align the Elements reduces the damage you take from elites, bosses, and players by half. And if you never take health damage, if you're constantly cycling barriers, it never drops when you're hit. So the survivability tools and the fact that the Sorcerer has many incredibly powerful defensive tools on top of the cycle barriers, I would rank the Sorc as a 10 out of 10 survival. I think the Sorcerer, even though it sounds a little bit counter-theming, and the theming is
10 out of 10 survival. So your Sorcerer is the tank.
It's actually very good for the class of Diablo 4, even though
and it's the damage output.
It sounds a little bit counterintuitive for the theming of these roles traditionally in like role-play games. Yeah, the Sorcerer's got it. You know, 4 to 6 second immunity, freeze everything, constant freeze, constant chills, constant barriers, multiple immunities, multiple CC breaks, the best passive damage reduction. Barriers are not just extra health. They're temporary, but because you're putting them up repeatedly, they actually function as a form of regeneration. Because it's not like your health goes up by 30% and then you take damage and you have to heal it back up. No, the barrier just absorbs all the damage, then you get another barrier. This is actually a form of regeneration. So the Sorcerer is also the highest sustained character in the game. It's possible that Rogue will overcome it when it comes to like end game, and I mentioned kind of the crit scaling of regeneration. Damage-wise, I think the Sorc is a 9 out of 10. I think that Necro seems to have higher target dummy-based DPS. Like if you stand in front of your target and you're just spamming the skills, single target, I think the Necro does, at least right now, outscale the Sorc. But the Sorc doesn't really play that kind of game. You know, you teleport a screen away. The Necro doesn't even have a movement skill. You know, I did one cast, and that Hydra cleared everything, right? So here, we can just go immune. And again, this is a freshly leveled 25. It actually only took me 2.5 hours to level to 25. So the damage, it's not...
You already just said? It took him only 2.5 hours to level to 25. Right? So first day, now obviously I don't know we're just speculating here. But if it takes him 2.5 hours on veteran level 1 in this, okay, in 2.5 hours, if he does hardcore or whatever, you know, torment, whatever he's doing, they're going to be an end game within a matter of 6 hours, 8 hours. Do you know what I mean? So if you're on the fence about what this game is or what the end game is going to be, you're waiting for end game, you don't want to spend your money yet, just wait like day 2 and you'll have your answer.
Not 10 out of 10. It's not 10 out of 10. But the ease of use, the fact that you absolutely murder trash mobs, the fact that you have ridiculous survivability, the best movement skill in the game, and the dynamic playstyle of the enchantment system.
I like the druid,
that you
Jesse.
can change up in combat.
I'm either going druid or barbarian. Both my builds right now in the game are sufficient enough where I could take on massive mobs, one tap them to get rid of them, or when I do a boss, the boss battles are a little slower. If a Necromancer can do it in, let's say, I don't know, 15 to 20 seconds, I'm probably doing it in like 45 to a minute, but I'm still staying alive. I'm not losing anything, and I can kill it.
right? In combat, it is ridiculous. It's a super dynamic playstyle. It is the most versatile, the most mobile class in the game. And the reason why I am pretty certain I'm going to be playing a sorcerer on launch, it's the fastest character clearing these dungeons. There's just no ifs and or.
Regardless, Quintar, the people like him will be in endgame faster than any other person. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna beeline it for the end game because they want to know what end game is. So if, let's say, it would have taken us, the average person 10 hours, they'll do it in 7, right? Whatever, right? It took me like 5-6 hours to level up to 25 on characters. He did it in 2.5, type of thing.
Like, it's just, it just is. It is that. Yes, you might lose out to damage to like a Necromancer or maybe burst to a Barbarian. But in terms of how long it takes to actually clear a dungeon, Sorc is the best. In terms of real effectiveness, Sorc is actually just the best right now. Very fast, dynamic playstyle, the best survivability. I'm going Sorc. Hope this video has been informative, and I await more Diablo content. Hopefully you do as well. Thanks for watching.
I like him. I like his videos. Yeah, overall, I've enjoyed my time with Diablo. I know it's got its flaws. I'm not judging it based on the company, right? I'm not judging it based on what their past games were. I'm not judging it on how the company as a whole treated people. Okay, I'm just judging it on the beta I played. The beta I played was a fun, addictive game that I'm looking forward to leveling up not just one character. I'm probably going to have multiple characters maxed out, and it's not the end destination. It's the leveling from point 1 or point A to point B. It's the trip, right? It's the actual it's trying to find the pieces of gear when I go up a skill tree, and then all of a sudden I go, oh, I just found this. Boots would make me do a lot better. I'm gonna put these in. I'm gonna put a pin into this. I'm gonna put this into storage. I'm gonna take this piece off. Like, I love that. I'm looking for a game like that. So I'm excited. And I'm always one that when everyone goes left, I go right. I'm never a follower. If someone says the build, the meta build is this, I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to do the opposite. I want to try to find builds that I made, that I liked. It might not be the most efficient build. It might not be the fastest build, but it's still a build that you can use and have fun with. And with games like this, I hate just grinding to the end game and then just doing nothing but the end game, because sometimes the end game is just kind of lackluster, and it's the whole trip getting to there. So I'm looking forward to this game. I don't know, just as I'm being very honest, $90 for the 4-day early access, right? It's like $90 for 4 days early access. The content creator in me might need that but at the same time, I look at it and go, am I going to be up there with these guys on the 4 days? Probably not. So to spend the $90 for 4 days early access, I don't know if I'm going to spend the $90. I'll probably spend the $60 or $70 if I get it on PC, or if I get it for console to get it on day 1. But I don't know if I'm going to spend the extra money for 4 days early access. Perhaps I will. I don't know yet. But regardless, I'm going to get this game on day 1. I don't like pre-ordering games. I'm done with the pre-orders just because the industry in itself in the whole. But overall, I'm excited for this game. I'm going to be either a druid or barbarian. I'm probably going to flip a coin on the day. Play what you enjoy. Meta's not always fun. Exactly, Quintar. Get a lot with 90. Also get the season pass. Okay. 98 with tax. Yeah, it's $100 I have to throw down. I guess it's in June, right? It's in June? June 2nd, right? We got 2 months. I got my birthday coming up in May. Maybe we'll do it. One thing you said when talking to Lono that I definitely hope is true, that this is a great streaming game that allows a streamer to interact with the chat, but it's not too intense. George, I can literally, the other day, I don't know if you watched my past stream, I was playing the Necromancer. I was doing a boss fight, and I wasn't even staring at the screen. I was just standing still, just sucking the soul, literally the soul, out of the boss. And I was like, this is fantastic. Yeah. What I love about it, George, is like every day with a game like this, you'd be like, all right, today we're going through the story. All right, today we're looking for boots. Today we're going for a headpiece. All right, we're just doing events so we can get we can get the orbs, so we can roll the dice to see if we get what we want. Right? It's such a good streaming game. It is. It's such a good streaming game all around. I could read chat. Everything's not so chaotic. The open world type of stuff. It doesn't need to be like, oh, I can't. You know how I get on certain games. Like you're playing a first person shooter game. I can't look at chat. This is very like nonchalant type of like play the game casual, level up casual, plenty of things to do, things to go for, dungeons to go for, try to find the butcher, right? There's just so many things that you can do with this type of game. Right, today we're looking for the poison pants, right? You see what I'm saying? Oh, there was a build. We're going to go for that build, right? We need to get 3 more points, so we need to level up three other points. Then we can put towards that, right? There's just so much content that you can do with a game like this. As a content creator, it's like everything can align, right? But if no one's interested in the game, then it all goes out the window, right? If there's a source of people that want to play the game and watch the content, then that makes it easier. Season Pass will most likely be another $10 or $25 to skip tiers. I don't do that stuff. Is it worth it for that? Also, I can grind through the weekend, only get about 2 hours on Tuesday. Well, that might be worth it for you, Cybersword. Right? That might be worth it. Or you can wait till the following weekend. You're like, no, I'm getting the pre-order. Yeah, see, I don't care about the skins. I don't care about the extra bonus, like get past through the season pass type of stuff. T4 has a strong start going for it. Just pray that it can fix connective issues before launch. Right, Tony? Yeah. Oh, that reminds me, Travis. Because so many of you have been gifting memberships, we surpassed 2 goals for our next emotes. Okay? So, if you guys have any ideas from emotes that you would like me to put in, like to come up with, we need 2 more emotes for you members on YouTube. So in our Discord, in our feedback section, you could put ideas inside the feedback section. If you put it in chat here, it's gonna go bye-bye because once I log off, I don't see it. I mean, you could put your ideas. I can see it now, but I might forget about it. But if you have ideas that you would like me to do, like we did the Do It one, where I look like, the Emperor. I did the Batman one, that Lurker. So if you have ideas that you want me to do, like I was gonna make one for Diablo, but we could do something, right? So give me some ideas. Let me know what you guys think in the feedback section. So I can make some more emotes for you guys. I don't have an artist. I do all the emotes myself. I mean, you can put your ideas in chat, Travis. But like I said, once I log off, I don't see it. I mean, I guess you could put it in the comments section down below for an emote. You can hit me up in the community. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll make a post in the YouTube community board, and then you can put your ideas there. So make sure you guys hit that like button if you guys have enjoyed the content today. I gave you my thoughts up front for what I played for the Diablo 4 beta for the 2 weekends. We played last weekend. We played all this weekend. I don't know if I want to put those hours in when the game comes out, I'll be honest with you. This week, we're going to be playing some MLB, The Show. It's coming on the Game Pass, I think today or tomorrow. I think it's out. So we're gonna play a couple of games and stuff like that. We might do a home run derby evening. So if anybody is playing on Xbox, I think you have to play on. I don't know if it's crossplay. It might be. I'm not too sure. But if you're playing on Xbox and you want to do like a home run derby competition with me, you can come on in. We're gonna play. I think it's tomorrow. I think tomorrow when it comes out. In Wednesday night, we'll probably play some more Division 2 with Sarge. Thursday, hopefully Sarge gets his computer before Thursday night, and then we come back for GXG. It's been 2 weeks off. It might be 3 weeks off, which I don't really like, but it is what it is. Question: do you think it will outsell Hogwarts? It's hard to say. Hogwarts hasn't finished selling its copies yet. Do you know what I mean? We don't know the sales, and right now we know the sales of 12 million, but we don't know the sales for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One and Switch. So it's hard to say. My Discord app crashed, and when I try to update, it disappears. Haven't used Discord in almost a year. George, that does sound like a boomer type of thing. We can make Ken Griffey Jr. We can make Ken Griffey Jr. I believe they even have his swing in the game. All right, so we do these type of shows. You heard about the Hogwarts Legacy on PC player base is dropping mad player count yet. I haven't. I mean, that means they're done with the game, right? Even if there is a mass exodus, it's a single player game. I don't see them like playing that game for the next year. I think the hardcore players, hardcore fans, I should say, are going to play that. No shot for Thursday, bro. Stage 3. Well, stage 3 is probably the building of the actual computer. And then 4 is like packaging it. Stage 5 is like driving it to the actual location. Stage 6 is sending it out, and stage 7 is so it'll go faster, Sarge. Yeah, I don't think there's a massive. If everyone's like, oh, Hogwarts is dead, it's a single player game. People move on. Move on. Also, I've imagined once Hogwarts sells all those copies Christmas season, could also be a big sales here. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say it when all said and done. I think Hogwarts Legacy is gonna break over 30 million this year. But probably by summertime. Because all they have to do is get 18 million more copies. I know it's 18 million more copies, but that's a big player base on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One era, right? You have 240 million people that own an Xbox and a PlayStation 4, right? You have like a ridiculous amount of people. So if you have 240 million people that own that, and you got to sell an additional 18 million, pretty good shot. Especially since everyone knows it was a good game. Now, obviously, it might not be a good game for that system, but regardless, got a good shot. Yeah, I don't know if that's more of his internet connection, George. It would be more of a so his computer doesn't have a hemorrhage every time he turns it on. Gotta wait for like to warm up like a car on on a cold day. Like I'm logging on at 7 o'clock, and then like 7:20, he's like, all right, I'm ready. I can't wait to see it brick a Switch. As soon as we were born, we were dying, all of us. That's the positivity I was looking for from George this morning. Congratulations, kid, you're born. Now you're dying. You're slowly dying. As soon as you pull the head out, your head's older than your ass, and you're dying. I don't care about PC. I was telling 30 about that at all. Let's be honest here. Diablo 4 is the kind of game that Kurt's fanatics love. Well, I mean, they also loved Hogwarts. A lot of people don't like witches and wizards because they think they're satanic. So there you go. And some things speed up a dying process. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I saw there's a viral video going around, and I was like, it's a highway video, dash cam, and there's a white pickup truck. Let me know if you guys have seen this. I'm going to describe it to you. There's a white pickup truck, and all of a sudden there's a car coming up next to him, right? And you're like, what's going to happen? Because you're like, what's going to... The wheel of the white pickup truck shoots off. It just falls off. The truck tilts, like the axle broke or whatever. Okay? And then the wheel goes out in front of the car in front of it, off to the side, and the car hits it. And I shit you not, it was like a Mario Kart when you get hit by a red shell. And hits it, and the thing does like a Dukes of Hazzard. I was like, oh my God. Let me tell you, I saw it over the weekend. And I drove on the highway, and I was like, didn't want to be near anybody. I was like, wheels are going to fall off. I was like, holy Christ. It was insane. Now that I said it, it'll probably show up on your feed, your phone, or YouTube. Did you know we're all lactose intolerant? I didn't know that. But now I feel better about myself. Wait, the regular Mario or Pedro Pascal? Did you watch that? Did we watch it? I think we watched it on stream. It was actually pretty good. I thought it was pretty good. All right, it's 12:15. It's that time where I have to go eat lunch before I go pick up my son. I do appreciate everyone coming out and hanging out with us each and every single day. We do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning to about noon Eastern. We do some talk shows. We look at some videos. We have different topics. We do live broadcasts on this show. We do gameplay in the evenings. We also do uploads every once in a while on this channel as well. If you like this, if you like to support us in any way, shape, or form, you can hit that like button. It's absolutely free. Okay? If you want to go above and beyond that, hit the subscription button so you know when we go live. Hit that notification so you know when my videos go up. And if you'd like to go above and beyond that, you can become a member as low as $5. That helps us out financially because ad revenues on YouTube pay also. And then also, so if you like it, if you subscribe to it, if you just watch the ads or skip the ads, whatever, just watch the videos basically, or be a paid member, you can help us out in any way, shape, or form. Appreciate it very much. We'll be back tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm not sure if Major League Baseball is on tonight. If it's not tonight, we'll figure out a game to play tonight. And then tomorrow we'll play some MLB The Show. Wednesday night we'll play some Division 2. Thursday night, hopefully it'll be the podcast. If not, we'll play a different game, maybe more of the show. And I appreciate you very much. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.